Hi everyone, my name is Manthapa and I'm a graduate student studying Information Assurance at St. Cloud State University. This presentation will describe the research paper submitted to MIX 2020 titled The Role of Intrusion Detection Prevention Systems in Modern Computer Networks, a review. Professor Akalanka Milewa Disanaika and I jointly worked on this paper. Introduction. Intrusions in computing jargon can be defined as the act of compromising a computing system by breaking the security of such system. Every day, millions of computers are victims of such practice, causing businesses to lose money by exposing their private information to corporate competitions. As a result, network security has become very important for computer users and organizations. To prevent unauthorized access to systems, a wide number of intrusion tools have been created that allows to track, monitor, apprehend, and detect unwanted traffic on a network or a device. On these numerous intrusion tools introduced in the early 2000s, the main widely used are IPS, Intrusion Prevention Systems, and IDS, Intrusion Detection Systems. Both of the IPS and IDS inspect network packets and block suspicious ones, as well as alert administrators about attack attempts. An IPS can be defined as an active in-network control system that prevents incoming threats and stop attacks in progress, whereas an IDS is a detection and monitoring tool that alerts users of potential malicious traffic. In this paper, IDPS is referred to as the combination of Intrusion Detection System and Intrusion Prevention System. History and development. IDS and IPS were first introduced in 1986 as an academic paper written by Dorothy E. Denning. The paper was titled An Intrusion Detection Model. The Stanford Research Institute, SRI, took that opportunity and developed the Intrusion Detection Expert System, IDES. The IDES system used statistical anomaly detection, signature profiles of users, and host systems to detect nefarious network behaviors. From 2000 to 2005, intrusion detection was preferred over intrusion prevention. This was because in the early 2000s, new threats like SQL injection and cross-site scripting attack were becoming popular, and these attacks passed right by the firewall. Firewall was very effective for preventing against threat in the 1990s, but with new threats, IDS became the most secure practice. At the time, the market for IPS was very low because most organizations were worried that IPS could probably stop harmless anomalous traffic from prospects. IPS works by sitting in line between an organization's network and the internet compared to the IDS that works by sitting to the side and mirroring all the traffic that comes into the network. The main reason behind preferring IDS over IPS was because IDS would warn or alert the organization when it finds malicious activity. Then they would take the right measures to get rid of the threat. The adoption of IPS did not start growing until the latter part of 2005. After that, more merchants started supporting IPS. At that time, signatures were written to detect exploits and vulnerabilities. The idea was that for every vulnerability, there could be 100 ways to exploit it. When criminals detected a vulnerability, they could generate more than 100 different ways to exploit it, causing IDS merchants to write 100 or more different exploit signatures. Since IPS remains in the line, consumers were concerned that all those signatures would slow down the network as its connection would have to be checked. Because of that concern, IPS merchants started to create only one signature that would work with its vulnerability regardless of how many exploits were connected to it. Merchants found out that IPS or an IDS that have more than 3,500 signatures is apt to hinder its performance. To this day, both IDS and IPS keep changing and developing as attackers change the techniques used to break into networks. Intrusion Detection System. The term intrusion refers to interrupting someone without permission. In the context of computing, intrusion refers to an attempt of accessing computing system without any permission, with an intention of causing intentional damage. Basically, intrusion detection refers to any kind of mechanism to detect such intrusive behavior, and intrusion detection system refers to a system that performs the process of intrusion detection automatically. The intrusion detection system is responsible for monitoring the data traffic in the network and any suspicious activities against the network security. The system or network administrator of the network are alerted or reported if any threats or malicious activities are detected in the network. Hence, the main purpose of the IDS is to detect and report the intrusion attempts to the concerned parties. The IDS employ different types of tools and techniques to detect suspicious activities both at the host and the network level. The IDS can be divided into two types, such as host-based intrusion detection systems, its IDS, and network-based intrusion detection systems, NITS. Intrusion Prevention System. Basically, intrusion prevention system is a system that detects both intrusions and take responsive actions to mitigate such intrusions. The IPS can be considered as a combination of IDS, firewalls, antiviruses, vulnerability assessment tools, etc. Where intrusion detection system detects the intrusions in the network as well as the host level, and the preventive measure tools, which is often implemented in hardware, prevent the network from various attacks. So the IPS not only detects an attack, but it also responds to such attack automatically by adopting countermeasures such as logging off the user from the system, killing the process, shutting down the system, dropping the connection. Like IDS, the IPS can be divided into two main types. They are host-based intrusion prevention systems, IPS, and network-based intrusion prevention systems, IPS. IDS and IPS in computer networks. In the network, the firewall plays a very important role by providing security to the network by allowing incoming and outgoing network traffic only on specified ports. The firewall is not built to detect the network traffic sent on a specified port or a legitimate port or any sort of intrusion attempts or attacks. For example, a firewall rule allowing inbound access on TCP port 80 will allow remote access to an internal web server. An attacker could use the HTTP port to attack the web server. In this case, the IDS can determine the difference between the legitimate connection and attempt attack to the web server by making comparison between the signature of the web traffic and a database of a well-known attack signature. Here, the intrusion detection system plays an essential role by notifying the network administrator about such attack and alerting him to take an appropriate action immediately. On the other hand, the intrusion prevention system plays a vital role by taking action on the attack attempt by taking an appropriate action automatically. For example, dropping or closing the connection to the web server can be performed by the intrusion prevention system automatically in order to prevent the attack into the web server. Therefore, the intrusion detection system acts passively by generating logs and alerting the network administrator after the attack attempts or occurrence of malicious activities, whereas the intrusion prevention system actively monitors such activities and takes action against such activities to protect the network. Hence, the IDS and IPS, they act as network level defenses to secure the entire computer network. So, regarding the operations of IDS, IPS, it has to make the following three basic assumptions. And the assumptions are: system activities can be observed, normal and intrusive activities have distinct evidence. The goal of an IDS, IPS is to detect the difference. So, here are the components of an IDS and IPS. Data preprocessor. So, the data preprocessor is the component which is responsible for collecting and formatting the data to be analyzed by the intrusion detection algorithm. And the detection algorithm is responsible to detect the difference between normal or legitimate and intrusive network traffic on the basis of the detection model. The next component is alert filter, and the alert filter is responsible to estimate the severity of the intrusion based on the decision criteria and the detected malicious activities. The alert filter then alerts the network or system administrator and takes the responsive action. And the responsive action is usually blocking or terminating the connection. So here, the intrusion detection system is composed of intrusion detection algorithm and alert filter, in which rule sets are predefined in order to detect the threats or intrusions and generate the activity data, logs, or alerts. The intrusion prevention system is deployed in line in the network between the network components so that it can take appropriate actions against the malicious activities in the network. The IPS performs the same kind of monitoring and analysis activities like IDS, but it not only detects the threats or any kind of intrusions, but it also takes appropriate action on the intrusions, such as closing the connection between the attacker and the server. So let's talk about the functions of IDS and IPS. So basically there are four functions of IDS, IPS. So the first one is data collection, the second one is feature selection, the third one analysis, and the fourth one is action. So let's talk about them in detail. So as we have already discussed about the intrusion detection system and the intrusion prevention system, these systems both provide network level security measures in the computer network globally. So network administrators have the capability to disable the prevention features in IPS, making them to operate as IDS. So IPS can also be used as IDS if configured so by the network administrator. So data collection. So in this function, the intrusion detection system receives data as input and save in the file and analyze them. Network-based IDS collects and alters the data packets, and a host-based IDS collects details like uses of the disk and processes of the system. Feature selection. To select a particular feature, large data is available in the network and they are usually evaluated for intrusion. For example, the Internet Protocol address, that is IP address of the source and target system, protocol type, header length, and size could be taken as a key for intrusion analysis. So the data is analyzed to find the correctness. Rule-based IDS analyze the data where the incoming traffic is checked against predefined signature or pattern. Another measure is anomaly-based IDS, where the system behavior is studied and mathematical models are employed to it. So action defines about the attack and reaction of the system. It can either inform the system administrator with all the required data through email, alarm, icons, or it can play an active part in the system by dropping packets so that it does not enter the system or close the ports. So aside from monitoring and analyzing activities to identify suspicious activity, all IDS systems perform different kind of general functions, such as documenting the information which is related to the observed activity. It also provides notification about observed activity to the security or network administrator. And it is also responsible to generate reports so that it could be used by the network administrator to perform analysis on such logs or reports. So let's go to IDS and IPS tools. So these are some of the tools, IDS and IPS tools available for us to use in order to secure our network. And the first one, so let's talk about the first one, Snort. So Snort is a free and open source tool created by Martin Rost in 1998. In 2009, Snort entered InfoWorld's Open Source Hall of Fame as one of the greatest open source software of all time. Snort detects various types of attacks and probes such as SMB probes, vulnerability exploit attempts, stealth port scans, and other suspicious behavior by employing rules-based logging that performs content pattern matching. So the next IDS IPS tool is OSEC. So OSEC is an open source host-based intrusion detection system. It performs log analysis, integrity checking, rootkit detection, time-based alerting, and active response. It can respond to specific events or set of events by employing various commands and active responses. A standalone installation of OSEC can be made to monitor a single host, or it can be deployed in a server and installation on the others will be as agents. The communication between the server and the agents is encrypted to make it more secure. The system administrator can add more other active response tools in addition to some predefined active response tools that comes with OSEC. In addition to its IDS functionality, it is commonly used as a SIM, that is Security Event Management and Security Information Management solution. And the next tool is OSIM. So OSIM is an acronym for Open Source Security Information Management System. A powerful set of open source security tools such as Snort, Nessus, NTOP, Nmap, etc. is integrated by OSIM. It provides a comprehensive compilation of tools which grants network administrators with a detailed view over each and every aspect of networks, hosts, physical access devices, and servers. Suricata. So it is an open source based intrusion detection system which was developed by the Open Information Security Foundation. It can be run on both IDS and IPS modes. Like Snort, it is based on the predefined set of rules to detect various attacks and probes. The rate of false negative and false positive threat recognition is determined by the precision of the predefined set of rules in Suricata. So the next one is Jake, which used to be Bro, so they changed its name to Jig. So it is also an open source Unix-based network intrusion detection system. It detects intrusions by first parsing network traffic to determine its application label semantics and then executing event-oriented analyzers that compare the activity with patterns deemed malicious. FragRoute. So FragRoute is a network intrusion detection evasion toolkit. So it evades network intrusion. So it is a network intrusion detection evasion toolkit. So it helps to implement network security attacks such as insertion, evasion, and denial of service attacks. It helps an attacker launch IP-based attacks while avoiding any kind of detection. So the next tool is Base, and the Base is a PHP-based analysis engine to search and process a database of security events generated by various intrusion detection systems, firewalls, and network monitoring tools. Base is used as a base graphical interface tool to analyze the alerts which are generated by Snort. It was derived from the ACID project analysis console for intrusion databases. Base is a utility that is specific only to Snort, so it can only be used for Snort. So the next one is SQL. So SQL is an intrusion detection system tool which was completely written in tool command language, and it is according to the official website, it is built by network security analysts for network security analysts. So the graphical interface that SQL is using is an analyst interface that provides that makes it valuable to the end user. SQL displays network packet information from various types of open source tools in real time to the end user. So conclusion. So different types of security tools such as firewalls, antivirus software, antispyware, anti-malware, etc. are readily available to protect the system. However, they fail to provide security to the computer system against various types of threats because of their limited functionalities. To overcome such limitations, the intrusion detection and prevention systems come into play. The IDS and IPS provide the functionalities to detect such malicious attacks and prevent such attacks by implementing various approaches such as secure mobile agent, virtual machine, multi-layer and distributed approach, high throughput string matching, to provide stronger and greater security against multiple security threats and attacks. So this paper discusses what the intrusion detection system and intrusion prevention system are, their working mechanisms and their roles in providing the strongest protection against the threats to ensure the overall security of the computer system. The IDS and IPS are two of the network security technologies which are available in the market to mitigate the inevitable network security attacks by detecting, tracking, and identifying the network attacks through the logs of IDS systems, and preventing the negative consequences of such network attacks by implementing appropriate automatic action through the IPS systems. So it is highly recommended to use intrusion detection system or IPS, that is intrusion prevention system, or both in a network environment in order to protect the system from theft and a loss of confidential data, as well as maintaining the strict compliance regulations for the critical systems. So this concludes my presentation. I hope you liked it, and thank you for watching.